I have to show you the kitty cats.
Look at these girls. Look at these girls. Hi.
Hello, welcome to another video. This is my June wrap up. I hate doing this. I feel like I should have like a way that I just constantly do an intro for these videos. But basically the way that I do my wrap up videos is I include all the books that I've read in the month, but also I include movies, TV shows, video games, anything that I've finished in the month. And I also play a game with a board. It is inspired by the Underland Chronicles, which were written by Suzanne Collins. It was my favorite book series when I was a kid. I recently reread them and I wanted to make a board where I can move across based on the ratings that I give books. And then there's little prompts that I actually printed out that kind of add to the review slash thoughts about the book process. So yeah, it'll be pretty self-explanatory as I go through it. Most of the books that I read in the month of June, I did not own physically myself, so a lot of them are like ebooks or books I got from the library. Yeah, literally only one of them I own. Okay, so the first book that I read in the month of June was Jade War by Fonda Lee. This is the second book in the Greenbone saga, and I gave it 2.5 stars. Alright, well, I'm an idiot and I moved twice instead of 3 times because technically I round up. When it's like a 0.5 or 0.75, I'll round up. If it's like 0.25, I'll round down. But I, like an idiot, I moved twice. But honestly, Jade War was not my favorite, so we'll just give it 2 spaces moved. And I got my little prompt said to read the first line. Thankfully, I actually have this book and can read you the first line. And it was madness to rob the grave of a green bone. That's the first line of the second book. So I didn't love this book. I think you can tell I'm pretty meh about it. The thing is, I really did think I was gonna love this trilogy, and I've officially just DNF'd the rest of the series. I'm not continuing. I didn't love the first book, but I kind of, pushed through it, told myself it'll get better. I didn't feel like it really got better for me. Then I was like, okay, the second book I've heard is a lot better, and I, again, felt like I just pushed myself through it just so I could say that I read it, and I don't feel like pushing through the third one, which is a lot longer, so no. I do think, though, that it's important for me to say that I recognize why so many people love this trilogy. It's very good. It's just not for me. I didn't connect with any of the characters. I don't really care about many of them, and I also don't not care about them. I don't hate any. I don't feel strongly about anything in these books. But I think the part that I really struggled with a lot was the plot. It's very big. It's massive scale. It's, world politics, world economics, gangs that are trying to survive, change in power structures and things like that. But I don't know, it moved so quickly and abruptly at times, which makes sense. It's just, I didn't like it. I guess I didn't really like it. It's not for me, and that's okay. Okay, now we're getting into all the ebooks that I read, or the books that I didn't own. So right after reading Jade War, I felt like I was kind of getting into a slump. And what typically helps me get out of a slump is very easy popcorn reads, things that are quick, that don't require a lot of thinking, and primarily smut. So I picked up, I think it's the 4th book in the Salacious Players Club series by Sarah Kate, which I liked. I liked the first 3 books a lot, actually. I thought that they were quite impressive. But so I read the 4th one, which is called Mercy, and I gave it 4 stars. Okay, interesting for me to get this particular review prompt for this book, because to do a love, death, robots with it, I mean, hold on. Is there like a butt plug emoji in here? Sorry. I don't know. I mean, it's very sexual, but also like Mercy delved into the way that you're raised and how, you know, your parents or the people around you will affect the way that you feel about sex. The way that you can be traumatized by it, basically. So is there like, you know what? I think I'm gonna put the heart with like the bandages on it because I feel like that really reflects both of the characters, the main characters. Bo was the guy. Totally forgot the girl's name. Yeah, I totally forgot her name, but both of them definitely needed mending. Bo needed to learn to kind of accept himself and not compare himself to his dad all the time. And then the girl, again, I forgot her name. I feel really bad about that. But she needed to accept that, I mean, she literally co-owns a sex club. It's okay for her to be kinky. So the heart with the bandages definitely suits this book. Then, I don't know, like, would it be bad if I put like an emoji of like just the woman one and then put like a child one as well to represent the fact that it was huge age gap? I don't know why age gap thing is such a big thing in this series. Yeah, only one of them didn't really have an age gap, and that one was my favorite one. So I think it was my favorite one. I don't know. Oh, what else? I need something that like, maybe the eggplant, because I mean, they did use a lot of toys, I'm just saying. There was some exploration that happened in these books, both mentally and physically. So we're gonna put an eggplant. And then, yeah, I kind of think that's it. The mending heart, the eggplant, and then the fucking sweating, or the water, you know, the thirsty, the typical emoji that represents thirst. I think that's gonna be my love death robots for this. It's gonna be the mending heart, the eggplant, and the squirt water. Yeah. I think that kind of, like, how would you not put an eggplant with the squirty things or any kind of typical sexual emojis for smut books? How do you not use those? Well, actually, I probably wouldn't use them for the other smut book that I read. So yeah, Mercy. I gave it 4 stars. I liked it. I didn't love it. I didn't think it was like that great. I also don't think I'm a huge fan of age gap smut stuff. It's awkward, especially since in this one it's literally a relationship between the co-owner of a sex club who gets into a relationship with the son of the other owner of the sex club, and it's just fucking weird. But I will say the smut in itself, fucking superb, and the delving into people's traumas, emotions, the way that they struggle with things, and the way that sex can be kind of a form of therapy, pretty cool. I still think they should actually go to therapy though, just, you know. But yeah, it was good. It wasn't fucking phenomenal, but it was nice. The next book that I read was Hidden Valley Road by Robert Kolker. This is a nonfiction, and it is the first nonfiction I've read this year. I feel like I should pick up more nonfictions. I'm just also worried that I'm not going to be as interested in them, but Hidden Valley Road actually surprised me. I give it 4 stars. I completed my game, so that means that I can buy myself some stuff, though I probably won't because financials are rough these days. So I'm starting the game over. There's no prompt that goes along with this book. It's about a family that I think it was like the 1970s. American family, 1970s, somewhere in Colorado. There were 12 children, and I think it was about 5 or 6 of the boys all had schizophrenia. And it's just basically showing or talking about and having like the family share their experiences of growing up in that kind of environment with those siblings, but also how the family was one of the, how would I say, the main helpers, I guess. They helped scientists understand schizophrenia better because for a long time no one really knew if it was just genetics, if it was something that was caught, like, I don't know, it was the 1970s. It's not like mental health was something that was super well understood. So yeah, it was super interesting interesting, especially since I'm currently pursuing a degree in clinical counseling, like mental health counseling. So it was good to know the information. There was a lot of scientific lingo at times, which got me a little lost. And also the way that the author like wrote out everything, sometimes it felt a little jumbled. Like it would jump back from the past and into the future or present. The timeline was a little hard to follow. Also the names that, I mean, one of the daughters changed her names and it was sometimes complicated to understand who was who, or the fact that she was the same person. But in general, it was very interesting, very informative, and you know, it was cool to learn that schizophrenia is genetic, but also heavily influenced by environment. But what really stood out was the fact that the mom never left the family and she always cared for her sons. Even when she was elderly and like struggling on her own, she still had her sons at home and she was still caring for them. And yeah, his mom was a little bit crazy as well. I mean, there are definitely some things that were questionable, but impressive nonetheless. So I enjoyed reading it. It was picked out by one of my book clubs and I'm glad that they picked it. I have 2 dogs with me here now. Next book. Okay, this is the one that blew my mind. The next book is Pen Pal by J.T. Geisinger, I think is the author's name. Yes, and I gave it 5 stars. So I landed on Gox, which I think last time I landed on him, I chose not to do the challenge. So I do have some challenge spaces on the board, and Gox is basically, in the books, he's a spider, and spiders are the ones who make like clothing for the Underlanders. And the challenge is for me to doll myself up or I'm stuck for 2 rounds. Yeah, I don't want to get stuck for 2 turns. Not really. I kind of don't, so I'm gonna attempt putting makeup on. It's been a long time, because I'm technically dressed okay, and I'm not planning on doing anything today. You know, fuck it, yeah. I'm gonna get all dolled up. Let's fucking do this shit. This is gonna take me forever, so I'll be back. Voila, here I am, all dolled up. I haven't put on makeup in at least a year, and I own very minimal makeup. I have eyeliner. I think my mascara actually kind of ran out, but this is the best I could do. Thank goodness I wear glasses and I have bangs and can hide most of it, because I had no idea what the fuck I was doing with this eyeliner, so it's quite heavy. Very grungy, I think, is what I pulled off. This is gonna bother me in like a few hours. I'm gonna want to take it all off. Anyways, let us continue. So that was, right, I did that for Pen Pal. So Pen Pal, I gave it 5 stars. It was so surprising. It was another book that I picked up because I was like, I need something easy, another smut, it'll be great. I saw this book on an Instagram account that I follow. They've posted it up a few times saying that like it's really good, and I was like, all right, probably like the smut is really good. And I mean, I think by the time that I will have put this video out, I will have done like a full like spoiler filled breakdown of it, but it was way more than I expected. I went in thinking, oh, Pen Pal, it's gonna be a smut about just letters being exchanged and a romance forming until they finally meet and they feel complete with one another. Oh no, oh no, no, it is so much more than that. And I don't really want to say too much because I feel like it'll be spoilery, and I already have a whole other video that will have every little detail about the book. So if you do want to know everything that happens, highly recommend you go watch that. But here I will just say it's kind of more of a thriller mystery than it is a smut, in my opinion. It has very explicit sexual scenes, and it delves into, I don't even know what kind of kink it is, but getting chased, I guess. But in general, the story of it, I did not expect it. It was, oh my gosh, it was great. The next book, I actually DNF'd the next book, which is The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. last time I did my wrap up, I forgot to move back a space when I DNF'd books. This time I remembered. I do pull out of the jar of prompts. This one was act out a random scene with no context. The thing is, I don't have the book anymore. Can't really remember a full scene from the book that I could potentially act out. Is there one that I could do? Not really. Cause like, I mean, I remember parts of what happened before I DNF'd it, but it would be really hard for me to do one. Cause usually I try to pick one where there's just mostly like some dialogue, maybe something funny with banter or something very tragic. But a lot of the scenes that I'm remembering are like action sequences and not actually remembering the dialogue that happens. So yeah, I don't think I can. The only scene, okay, I can't act it out, but I will tell you a scene that happens kind of early on in the book. Yeah, so one of the main characters, Livira, whatever the fuck her name is, I think it was Livira. She meets this kind of knight guy. I think he's middle-aged, probably somewhere in his 40s or something, and he's very grumpy and he's always swearing and he seems mean, but he's actually quite kind toward her, and I thought that was really cute. I just remember that like he gives her water over the other kids, and I don't know, she has a personality that I guess vibes with his, and he shows a little bit of favoritism with her, but she also saves his life. So there is that scene, which is, in my mind, they called it a sand bear or something. In my mind, it was like a really big fluffy monster that hides in the sand and then pops out, and it had like a really weird mouth. Like, this book was very creative, and I think that I'll pick it up again some other time, but because of, I genuinely think that Jade War put me in a slump, and then I read a nonfiction that was good, but I like it, you know, it's not super inspiring, and then I read one smut that was fun, another smut that blew my mind, and I don't know, if fantasy was feeling like it was failing me, like I wasn't being gripped by anything. And the book that wouldn't burn is pretty big, and it's got these two separate plot lines, and I felt like I was getting more interested in one plot line than the other one. And then there's the library thing, and I wasn't understanding what was happening, and I felt like it was requiring too much brain power, and I was like, you know what, no, I can't, because right now the brain power is just not there. So I'll probably pick it up again in the future. I do think it probably is very good. I just wasn't in the right headspace for it, so I DNF'd it. So it's not to say it was bad. The next book was In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune, which I gave 3.5 stars, so I will be moving up 4 spaces. So the prompt that I pulled out, the review prompt that I pulled out, is reread, rewrite, burn, which was, I think it was a challenge that I did a while ago, where basically I put in a jar or whatever all the books that I'd read in a year, and I'd pick out 3, and then I'd have to pick which one I would reread because I really liked it, I'd rewrite because I liked it, but some things could change, and which one I would burn, which one I just absolutely did not love. So for this prompt that I did is I look back at, so the book that I just said, so In the Lives of Puppets, and then the 2 previous books that I read, which I have to pick books that I've actually completed. So the book that wouldn't burn, I can't put that one because I did not finish it. So I do Pen Pal and Hidden Valley Road. So first of all, Pen Pal I would reread. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was really good. I would reread it, like, legitimately, because I feel like there are probably some things that I could pick up on earlier or notice and be like, oh my god, it was right there and I didn't notice it the first time. And then Hidden Valley Road, I did give it 4 stars, and In the Lives of Puppets, I gave it 3.5. But for the purpose of thinking which book would I, you know, potentially appreciate more if I were to try it again, I would, I don't know, because nonfiction's not something that I particularly, you know, love that much. Maybe I've been reading the wrong nonfiction books, but I think I would rather, no, Would I burn it? No. But I didn't hate In the Lives of Puppets either. It wasn't that great. That's it. It was okay. It was a good time. It just wasn't mind-boggling. And Hidden Valley Road was also okay. Would I rewrite it or would I burn it though? Because even if I rewrote it, I feel like I still would feel kind of, you know, like, oh, I learned something. That's it. I wouldn't feel it wouldn't change my life or anything. Whereas In the Lives of Puppets, I feel like if I rewrote that, it could potentially, no. All right, we will reread Pen Pal, rewrite Hidden Valley Road so that it doesn't have all the weird past present bullshit that's very confusing. And I would burn In the Lives of Puppets. Yeah. I don't think that I would ever really want to try and reread In the Lives of Puppets. So, okay. In the Lives of Puppets is like a future in which humans no longer exist. There's just robots, and it's a robot who has a human child that he cares for. And this human child has two friends, which that I love. The beginning of the book was my favorite part because it was just full on banter between a nurse robot called Nurse Ratchet and then a vacuum robot called Rambo, and then the young boy named Victor. And it was just very cute. Nurse Ratchet is very cynical, very sarcastic. It has a bit of a dark side to her, but you know, ultimately kind of fun. And then Rambo is just a scaredy cat who's always worried about everything. And they find another robot that looks very human-like, who is actually, well, he's kind of a robot who was meant to kill humans, and now he's changed, and they call him HAP. What is it again? Hysterically Angry Puppet. That's what it stands for. So it had very cute elements to it. Just overall, the plot, like, it was very slow in the beginning, and then the reveals that happen were cool, just a little underwhelming, and the quest that they go on, the adventure that they go on was fun, but sometimes it felt like it just kind of plummeted down to have these dialogues that, you know, are supposed to be very reflective and have this parallel between our current world and this book world that's in the future. So yeah, I don't think that I would ever reread it. Did I not like that I read it? No, I still enjoyed reading it. It was fine. And I mean, here's the thing too. All of TJ Klune's books now, I've officially decided I'm listening to them on audiobook because the narrator is fucking phenomenal. He's one of the, probably the only reason that I really wanted to keep listening and keep reading In the Lives of Puppets. He's amazing. I don't know how he does all those voices. Okay, and then the last book that I read was Gunmetal Gods by Zamil Akhtar, which I also gave 3.5 stars, so I'll be moving 4 spaces. This is the worst book for me to get that prompt for. Which character would I want to be? None of them. All of these characters suffer tremendously. So, Gunmetal Gods is a self-published book by Zamil Akhtar. It is, all I know is that the map in itself is very heavily inspired of like the Mediterranean Sea area, and you can tell when you look at it, compare it to the map. So I believe that a lot of what the story is about is very close to like the Israelite wars, the religious crusades and things like that. So you follow 2 main points of view that both are told in first person. So you have, fuck, what was his name? Micah. You have Micah, and then it starts with a K. Fuck, what was his name? I was gonna say Karen, but that's not it.
Krillin.
No, not
Catherine.
that. No, not Catherine.
Calcifer.
No.
Carl.
No.
Caleb.
No.
Commendium.
No. Kava.
That was close.
So you have Micah and Kava. Micah is on one side of the army and Kava is on the other. Micah is an up-and-coming kind of general who is trying to invade the other country that they've been trying to invade for a long time and take back, because apparently 800 years ago that property belonged to them, or the kingdom belonged to them. Kava is another warrior, very retired warrior. I think both of these characters in their 40s or something. And he gets called back by the king. I've totally forgot all the titles, but essentially war is coming, okay? And this book is pretty fucking brutal. But I had times where I was like, oh, Micah, super interesting. I love these moves that he's making. They're very bold, very like, they're brutal and they're horrible, but also, wow, you know, like really taking charge here. And then there were times where I was like, Micah, you are a fucking monster. You are a monster. You need help. Seek help now. And then Kava, I felt so bad for him, but also sometimes I was like, dude, where is the side that people have said that you are a great warrior, that you vanquished so many people, you were so strong, blah, blah, blah. And I get that it's been years and he's put on some weight, but even after certain things happened, he still was very indecisive, I guess. Not indecisive, but he didn't feel like very paramount. So sometimes I didn't feel very compelled by him. Anyways, this book is brutal. It's a military epic fantasy. There were really interesting concepts about gods and religion. It was very heavily focused on that, on, you know, how one religion will believe in one thing and the other one. And it was interesting to see that they both acknowledge each other. They just reject one another. And yeah, if I had to pick a character to be, God, is there? Oh yes, I will be one character. I will be Icard. He was the spy. I don't think anything really bad happened to him. He was pretty smart. He slipped in and out, got duty done, made sure he was never really fully caught in anything. I'd be Icard. I think that would be the best bet because he knows his shit. So yeah, that is it for all the books that I've read this month. Now I will get into movies and shows. I think I mostly watched movies. So the first movie that I watched was with some friends. They came over. It was a good time, and it was Ted. I have watched Ted before, but it had been a long time, and yeah. So Ted came out in 2012. And it says, when John Bennett, played by Mark Wahlberg, was a little boy, he made a wish that Ted, who is voiced by Seth MacFarlane, I don't know how to say that, his beloved teddy bear would come alive. 30 years later, foul-mouthed Ted is still John's constant companion, but much to the chagrin of Laurie, played by Mila Kunis? I don't know how to say her name either. Though Laurie's displeasure is exacerbated by the pair's constant consumption of beer and weed, she's not the one who's most disappointed with John. It may take the intervention of John's boyhood toy to help him grow up at last. So Ted is just, yeah, it's funny. It's your typical American absurd humor where everything's kind of taken a little too far. Drugs are consumed to their extreme, and you know, it's a guy who grew up always being a kid. He's still scared of thunder and lightning, so am I, so I can relate. I think that the movie in general is surprisingly heartwarming. It's funny, it's got some moments that are kind of, it'll make you feel like, you know, that inside crying type of thing where you're not outwardly crying. It didn't make you that sad, but it touched something in your soul. So I did like Ted. It was fun. I know that there are other ones. I don't know if I'll watch more of the Ted movies, but they were fine. The next thing that I did, I finished the show Buddy Daddies, which is an anime. Assassins Kazuki Kurusu and Rei Suwa meet Miri, a girl looking for her father on Christmas Day. And yeah, it's just two guys who they've lived together for a while. It is a finished anime, so I think there's like 25 episodes or something. Does it say how many episodes there are? I don't know. But it's finished, it's completed, it's one season, and it's very cute, very endearing. It's two guys who are completely different, who have their own baggage, their own trauma. One of them has lost his wife, one of them was raised to be an assassin in a pretty brutal way, and they have this little girl who comes into their life, and they end up becoming dads, and they become quite dedicated to it, and it's just super cute. It's also very hard though, because they are assassins, and it gets kind of tangled in everything, and there's some consequences. There's definitely a part where I was like, wow, this got real brutal, and it did not have to be, although it makes sense why it did. And it ends in one of the cutest ways ever. I'm so glad the way it ended, where like the girl grows up and the guys, they also are older. It was very cute. If you like cuter animes, I recommend it. I thought it was surprisingly adorable. The next movie that I watched was Unleashed, which came out in 2005, but I saw it on Netflix as like one of the recommended or something. So Unleashed is crime boss Bart raises orphan Danny with no knowledge of anything other than how to fight, using him as an enforcer when debts must be collected. Planning to enter Danny into a fight tournament and retire with the prize money, Bart disappears after a deadly drive-by shooting. Danny flees and takes shelter with a piano tuner, Sam. Away from Bart's abusive control, Danny learns how to live like a human and begin investigating his past. I thought it was a good movie. I don't think it was great. I don't think it was like, wow, oh my gosh, I have been totally changed by this film. But it was good. It was like, yeah, I guess it kind of showed the power of human kindness and also human cruelty. And what I really enjoyed was that when he finds shelter with the piano tuner, who was played by Morgan Freeman, so I think we can all agree that it's a good movie when it's got Morgan Freeman in it. So when he was with him, Morgan Freeman has a daughter, I think a stepdaughter, but the mom passed away. And anyways, I was worried that it would turn into a romance thing, and it didn't. And I was really glad that it didn't, because I feel like that was really the important part, is that this kid, Danny, who has been raised to essentially just kill on command like a dog, learns that family is so important. And also the way that he got into Bart's service was just, it was so brutal. But it was a very good movie. I highly recommend it. If it's still on Netflix, check it out if you have Netflix. Otherwise, if you have a local library, they have DVDs. Rent from your local library. They love it when you do it. The final movie that I watched in June was literally on the 30th of June. We went to the movies with some friends to go watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. We were a little bit worried about it because, well, we watched Thor Love and Thunder and didn't love it, but it ended up being good. So Guardians of the Galaxy, it says here, still reeling from the loss of Gamora, Peter Quill must rally his team to defend the universe and protect one of their own. If the mission is not completely successful, it could possibly lead to the end of the Guardians as we know them. So we're gonna start off by saying Guardians of the Galaxy always has a killer soundtrack. Amazing. Then I really liked that for this third movie, they really delved into Rocket's backstory. And holy shit, like I cried multiple times when I was watching it, because it really went into what people will do to animals, that the animal cruelty, and even just this god complex that some people have, that they can do that to lesser creatures just because they can. It was horrible. And I had a friend who, when they watched it, they were like, I just didn't like that part. And I'm like, I think that's the point though, is that no real animals were used, but that was the point. It was to show that some people actually do this. Like, it doesn't just take a sci-fi movie to show you that. Another really favorite part of mine and Ryan's is that it's fully fantastical. Every creature in it is made up. It has so much freedom because it's a sci-fi. It just, whatever you can come up with, it could be in that movie. So the creativity, the character designs, so good. And the banter and the jokes and the humor was very well balanced with the serious tone. So I really liked it. I thought it was really good. Our friends said it's not as good as the first one. And I'm like, I think that when it comes to these movies, it's better to look at them as a whole. And also, if you're going in comparing a third movie with the first movie, I think it's automatically gonna lose, because the first movie is a reason that got you into liking them. But anyways, I thought it was really good. It definitely hurt me at times, but it's okay. Sometimes that's what art needs to do to you. It needs to hurt you a little bit so that you can learn more about the world. And last but not least, I did finish a game. Games with a storyline, I stream on YouTube. I do extra streaming over on Twitch, which is just like the games that I casually play when I just feel like it, like Smite or Genshin. I got back into Final Fantasy XIV as well, but I'm probably not gonna stream that one. Anyways, I finished playing Transistor on YouTube, so if you wanna watch all that, I'll have the playlist linked down below. It is developed by Supergiant Games, which I have been loving their games. I don't think there's a single game that I've played by them that I haven't liked, and I'm trying to look like what the story is, because the story was kind of confusing. I did read through what the plot is at the end on the last stream of the game, like at the end. But it says here, Transistor is a sci-fi themed action RPG that invites you to wield an extraordinary weapon of unknown origin as you fight through a stunning futuristic city. And it is very interesting. It's very, very cool. The play style, I've never played a game like that. So it's kind of like turn-based, but you also do move around using like WASD. I play on PC. I don't know if it's on controller or not, probably. But you can move around like that, and then you press like the spacebar to pause, and it pauses everything, and then you plan out what abilities you're gonna use. I don't know, I thought it was a very cool way to add in a futuristic element to the game, because it does make it feel like you have an incredible weapon that helps you stop time and enter a almost like a digital plane in which you move faster than everything else, and you can plan things out. Then the story was pretty bleak. The city is like evacuated because this company or organization did something. I don't remember exactly what it was again, but they created machines, I think, that ended up producing themselves more, and it just causes more of an issue. So yeah, you end up absorbing consciousnesses, into the sword, and then you can read the stories of these people and what happened, and essentially they were murdered by these organizations. Like, you just learn about murder after murder after murder. It was very cool. I loved the game. I thought it was great. I highly recommend you give it a try. It is an indie game. It's not super expensive. It's not super long. It took me, I think, a grand total of 8 hours to play through it, and I am not the smartest person. So yes, it was good. So that is the end of my wrap up for the month. I don't think I had a really great month with reading, but I did have a pretty good one with like games and movies. So there's always a plus side to everything. If you've read any of these or watched any of these or played any of these games or movies or books or whatever, let me know. If not, that's fine. I can't tell you what to do. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you didn't, that's your prerogative. I will see you in the next one. Bye!